Are you doing that because he's taller than me?
I think I'm still growing. I had some growing pains the other day.
That's called gas. That's not
Wasn't pain. Yeah, I'm growing this way.
growing, I
I ate
guess.
a ton and my tummy hurt for some reason.
Welcome back to episode 4 with Behind the what are we? Behind the Build with Nick and Noah. And
Noah
and Nick. Today's a little bit more of a somber one, I guess. Maybe somber's not the right word. I don't know.
Does summer mean sad, would you say?
Somber. I think it's like, yeah, a little sad. Maybe some.
When I think of
sprinkle a little
somber, I think of
disappointment,
like
maybe.
a rainy day.
Yeah. So it's not like the end of the world. It's not like, it's the whole world is crashing down, but
Yeah.
it's definitely kind of like, oh.
It's not an apocalypse one. It's just a somber one.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Little disappointing.
Yeah.
So episode 4, we're going to talk about leaving a company. For all of you out there, Noah has been with us for not quite a year.
Yeah. I think when people ask, I'm going to say 8 years.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah.
I think it was August.
Yeah.
Actually, I looked at it, and the job offer that I gave you, that I officially gave to you, was like this week, last year.
Wow.
It was like a year ago this week.
Okay.
So he's been with us for a year and has added so much value to us. And we've grown. We've all grown so much. We started this podcast, and I've really enjoyed doing it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And but Noah has decided to exit stage left, very, very gracefully and respectfully.
Just like a dance.
Just like a dance.
Very graceful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just dance right off the dance floor.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm known for that.
But just like a dance, I would say the music is still going.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue on.
Yeah.
We're really excited about what's next for you.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about what you're planning on doing, what kind of led up to the decision.
Yeah.
And obviously, because we want to let people know it's not because it's a bad company or
I'm getting fired or something.
Yeah, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So we want to talk a little bit about that, but really we want to talk about that and how to leave a company well.
Yeah.
How to let someone go well, and like our last episode, also talk a little bit about the company heart.
Yeah.
Because what's happening right now actually does tie in really, really well with our company and our heart and our desire for the people who are here. Right. So I'm really, really excited about that. Yeah. Excited is probably not the best word to use. I'm happy for you as an individual.
Yeah.
Happy for what's next for you.
Yeah.
But as anybody who knows me knows that I love change.
Yeah.
And so change does excite me a little bit.
Yeah.
This one's just a little bit different. The change is good, but we'll see.
Bittersweet is
bittersweet. That's
I believe that saying has been around for a while.
Yep. So. And I'm going to hit this right at the front too. We're going to continue these. I would love to have Noah continue to work with us in doing these podcasts and keeping them going. Because we work really well together and we've got a really good chemistry just doing these, and I love them. And I'm assuming people are following and people are liking and they're subscribing. So there are others out there who like it as well.
Absolutely.
So we want to keep going. So let's start with the why of just kind of what led up to this moment, and you can get as detailed and specific as you want.
Yeah.
So
Well, first of all, I appreciate just the understanding, just how on board you've been with where I'm going and where I'm headed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what other job or boss, and I've said this before, but I mean, I get paid to sit here and do a podcast with you. Like, just hanging out is basically how I describe half my job, is just hanging out with you and talking and figuring stuff out about the job. So
Yeah.
it's definitely not an easy choice. What I decided to do by leaving, um, but what led up to it was before um, I came on to restore and renovate homes. Um, I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
Went to so at Northwestern. Um, I was a junior, um, going into my senior, like my last year of college, and when I got this job, I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is like what I'm going to school for. Why do I have to finish school?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?"
Yeah.
And those who are married out there understand what I'm about to say next. But my wife said, "You're finishing school," and I was like, "Well, okay." Yeah. So because it was such a great opportunity, I kind of put school on the back burner,
Yeah.
not realizing that later down the line it was going to cause a lot of anxiety and a lot of like, because it's money and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, and it's just something that I've always said that like once I start on, like, I need to finish this.
Yeah.
It's like something that I need to do. The way that I look at it, without getting too like spiritual or like, with the like, obviously the Lord has played a huge part in all of this, right? But it's almost like I took steps forward without doing the necessary things before. So now it's like I have to take another step back to then spring forward.
Sure.
Little foreshadowing for later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Spring forward. Decided to go back to school, finish my degree, and then really after that, obviously with the degree, that opens up opportunities. But coming back when I graduate is not a closed door,
Right.
and I know we talked about that.
Right.
So my goal is to finish by spring. But yeah, that's like kind of the main reason and the main push to like why I've decided to take a break from working, a full time job at least. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still, the plan is to still, you know, do little things on the side, drywall patches or painting or whatever it is. Um, but just obviously this job is like a full time job. It's not, there's a lot added to it. There's, you're, communicating a lot. You're not, that's one of the reasons, like, I was trying to, finish school while do this job, while doing the, like, in my position.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up having to drop classes because
Yeah.
of, the, um, just how much, I don't know. Yeah.
There's a lot of in your role. There's a term that I used to have just kind of running through my head with what you do.
Yeah.
And a lot of business owners will understand this too.
Yeah.
Is there's a term called onness, I guess,
Yeah.
is the best way to describe it. Like you
Yeah.
just always feel like you're on. You always feel like
Yeah.
there's something that's got to be done. And in your role being production, when we go work on a project, we're working in somebody's house.
Yeah.
Right. We're in their living room, we're in their kitchen, we're in their basement.
Yeah.
And we're working and we're in their space
Yeah.
that they're in all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a gas leak in the dryer.
Yeah.
There's some issues with the
Yeah.
furnace. There's, a water leak in the basement at 7:30 at night, and you
Yeah.
just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so your position, there is a lot of onness.
Yeah.
And so
That's a good way to put it.
feeling like, in my mind, having had the conversations about all this and talking through all this, there is just this burden of
Yeah.
feeling like there's always something to do.
Yeah.
And you always
Yeah.
have to be on and ready to go.
Yeah. That's true. There has been nights or like times where I'm going to bed thinking about work and I wake up to a call about
Right.
work,
Right.
which, like, it comes with the job. But I think too, when, like I said earlier, when the things that, some unresolved things that are going on that I haven't finished come up with the stuff I have to focus on now,
Yeah.
it just isn't a good combination.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's also kind of a cool story because my wife Shrai, she was even saying, "What's going on with school? Are you gonna, like, you need to be on this?" And she didn't really know that I've already had that anxiousness of like going to bed thinking about school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shoot,
Yeah.
like, obviously I need to go back and finish school.
Yep.
And then we can go on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the type of personality that you are, you're just so locked in on everything.
Yeah.
From what I've experienced with you and the friendship we've built, it's just I see that all the time.
Yeah.
You're committed to your church, you're committed to your family, you're committed to your job, you're committed to school, and we only have so much bandwidth as individuals.
Right.
And so I think it's wise. I think it's it's a brave decision too.
Oh yeah,
stepping
100%.
away as a husband, a father,
Yep.
and the provider, the sole provider of your home,
Yep.
to step away from essentially a good thing,
Yeah.
and good pay to focus on something that you just feel really burdened about.
Yeah.
Yep. We've been talking to the crew about it too, and our boy John on the crew, and he says the same thing, that it's just, it takes a lot of courage to do that, and we all, I think I can speak for everybody in the company. We all agree that this is the right decision for you, the right call for you, and and wish you luck in all of it, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
appreciate that.
So what I'm kind of excited about is to kind of transition our conversation into leaving well. Is how you're doing, how you're leaving. So we've been talking for probably about a week now since we've had the conversation. And I feel like there's still just such a commitment to what you're doing, even as you are, preparing to leave, preparing to be gone. And so, I guess I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about how to leave well. I'd love to hear your take on it, as far as like what it's like trying to exit a company that you've worked hard in. You love everybody in it, and how do you do that? How do you exit well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I will say, like, whether it's a good job that you love or a job that you don't love, like, I know we've all had those. I've left the same way at every job. It's, you don't want to burn bridges. I think one of the biggest things is just like, for me, I think like in the way that I was raised, the way that I think, all that together is, it's a lot about respect. And it's like, regardless of, like I said, loving it or not, I do it the same way. So basically, I think 2 weeks minimum should be a good notice. And that's like, that's a really good question though. Like, because it's second nature to me. It's not like I think about it. It's like, that's what I do. I don't know. It's all about not burning bridges, because you don't know where you're going to be down the line and what you're going to need. Being in positions where it's like, hey, I'm putting my 2 weeks in, and then all of a sudden 3, 4, 5 months down the line, it's like, I need another job. I could always call you back, or wherever I worked before, and be like, hey, what's going on? How are you guys doing? Do you need anyone? And then, the chances of getting rehired or being like, absolutely, you left on such a great term that we'd love to have you back. And, that's what I always think. And burning bridges, there's only been one time, I'll say, that a bridge needed to be burned, and it's just because of how toxic that person was, or that boss was. Whereas I didn't even tell him I was leaving because of how bad it was. But that's not the norm at all.
This feels like one of those moments where like the golden rule heavily applies.
Exactly.
Treat someone how you love to be treated.
Absolutely.
So that's good. Well, sending off well is another part of the conversation too. Like, as a company, as a boss, how do we send you off well? And I know we've had conversations about what are you going to do going forward. Like for me, I love this idea. I actually kind of stole this from my old boss, because when I left my last job, I cared so much about leaving, and making sure that I set everything up that I was doing, so that they didn't have to work crazy hard to
Yeah.
pick back up,
Yeah.
or like, this is just a mess. How do we
Yeah.
clean this mess up?
Yeah.
I was more concerned about leaving well, and my boss was more concerned about me starting the next thing.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so it was this attitude of like, we each cared so much about each other,
Yeah.
and what the future held for
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. There's been so many times already in just the 2 years where
Yeah.
I've been able to take what I've learned
Yeah.
working for companies, and the kind of boss I wanted to be and the kind of company we wanted to be. And it feels like in 2 years already, I'm able to tap into some of this stuff. And
Yeah.
so like for you, knowing that you still do have to support your family, you've
Yeah.
got some money
Yeah.
saved up, you
Yeah.
still do have to support your family. So we had a conversation, I think it was 2 days ago,
Yeah.
about you establishing something so you can still get some income.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm, as a company, so willing to, because you poured in so much.
Yeah.
I'm so willing to pour into you as
Yeah.
well, and what you're going forward in the next thing.
Yeah.
Because the mantra that I believe in with the company is, if I treat my people well,
Yeah.
they'll treat me well.
Right. Right.
And even as they're leaving,
Yeah.
it's still, I want to treat them well.
Yeah.
Because again, the same idea of burning a bridge. I don't want to do that either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, man, when Noah's graduated and he's done with this degree,
Yeah.
and he's got this business degree, we can pull him back in.
Yeah.
If he so chooses to
Yeah.
do that, and if that's where the Lord leads everything. So,
Right.
So sending off well, I mean, leaving well is good. Sending off well is good. Again, it's a respect thing. It's an
Yeah.
honor thing.
Yeah.
It's the golden rule.
Yeah.
And
That's a
so
good
that's
point.
just kind of what we live by.
Yeah.
Speaking of the springing forward,
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the hearts, and we talked about this in our last episode, the heart that I have for a company and leading our people and creating really good, solid people.
Mhm.
It was very, very evident when we first started talking about this. Like, this is one of those moments.
Yeah.
This is one of those moments of taking people in this company and allowing them to springboard into what's next.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mind getting into the spiritual side of things, because I have a relationship with Jesus, and
Yeah.
that's a part of me, and it's a part of this
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And I was in prayer after we talked about it, and I was just kind of having this conversation with God, and asking the question, like, could we have done anything different? Could we have changed anything? And quite honestly, I feel the word that came to my heart was kind of a question from God.
Yeah.
And not in a really bad way, but it was a question of, so the whole heart of your company is to develop good people.
Yeah.
And help them to become the better versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And you are now, you're not the first one to have come and gone.
Yeah.
And have gone on to essentially better things.
Yeah.
And so the question kind of became, so are you not willing to allow your company to actually develop people into what your heart is? Right. To develop people into the better versions of themselves.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those got it moments of, all right, Lord, I still trust you.
Yeah.
I still trust that this is in your hands, and I still trust that this is the right decision.
Yeah. Right.
All of these things happened before Noah. Noah was a phenomenal addition. And now what's next could be better.
Yeah.
Or it could be what our word for this year has been, which is refine and grow.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize that was going to be as applicable to me as
right.
it was the overall company.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's good. So just having this heart for, okay, what, and I had to have this conversation with myself. Noah is stepping away to finish his schooling, get his degree, think about his family and himself first before his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that look like for our company? How does that affect our company?
Yeah.
And really it came down to, well, this is what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making sure that you become the best version.
Yeah.
So sending you off well is almost like, with that heart for this company, I almost can't do that.
Yeah.
I almost can't be like, okay, no, what do you need to be and to really flourish in this next season?
Yeah.
So, so that from a company standpoint, I am so happy for you. I'm so excited for what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And and we're, we still have a friendship. We still go to
Yeah.
church together. We'll still do some life together.
Yeah.
And definitely still do these.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna have to keep doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So
No, that's good.
no one can literally fit into that sweatshirt. So that is yours.
A lot of people could.
So
Just together.
a lot of people together could fit in it. Yeah. So so I all of that to say, there's still a home for you here at this company.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the future, maybe that just looks different.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So what we're going to do going forward with our podcast, we are going to take a little bit of a break on just producing these and putting them out. We do still want to continue it, but we're going to take just probably the summer season here and just focus on the builds, focus on the construction, focus on the team development.
Yeah.
We will probably drop some stuff here and there, but we're going to take a little bit of a break, but we will come back for season 2.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do everything I can possible to make sure that he's my host on this. I think it'd be a great opportunity. So,
yeah.
So we will be back for season 2. Noah pending.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I can get him to come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So stay tuned. And any last words?
I don't know. It's been great. It's been fun. It's been the most learning and the most like building of my life this last year. Like
awesome.
It's been the biggest growing year of my life.
That's cool.
Just some amazing like experience that I can put in my pocket, and just totally. I don't know. It's wild looking back and thinking, I don't know. I didn't think I would be here, but I am,
and in just a year.
In a year.
A year. That's it.
Yeah. A lot has happened this last year.
Yes. Correct.
There's a lot of questions too of like, all right, Lord, why did you lead me to this company if now you're leading me away?
Right.
And I even just got a feeling just now. He's like, who said I'm leading you away from it?
Yeah.
I'm just detour maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna wrap up our episode 4. We will be back season 2. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. So I should probably think about some of these things so that I'm able to talk on it. And then I was like, nah, I don't want to think about it.